here time and time again. The Letters and successfully defending the title they won last time out. Talking about the Afro Women's Basketball Tournament. Ami Okonkwo eventually was also crowned the MVP of the tournament. We take a look at how things fared. The Chan tournament started on Saturday. Morocco were able to get the better of their opponent in the course of those fixtures. Well, I'm Mutube David. Before we talk about all of these stories extensively, let's first of all bring you up to speed with some big development making rounds in the world of sports. Welcome once again. World of tennis, where Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek was the latest top player to suffer an upset in Montreal, falling to Denmark's Clara Tauson. Tauson gained revenge for a Wimbledon defeat at the hands of Swiatek to reach the last 8 with a 7-6, 7-1, 6-3 victory. Paul and Swiatek won a solitary point in the first set tiebreak that came from a Tauson double fault and was then broken early in the second set. Swiatek broke back to make it 4-3 but failed to hold in their next service game as Tauson progressed to set up a quarterfinal against Madison Keys. The big serving American served 2 match points to emerge with a hard-fought 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 win over Czech Karolina Muchova. Tauson won their only previous meeting in Auckland in January, although Keys went on to capture a first Grand Slam title at the Australian Open later that month. Away from that now, still talking about what's happening at the ATP scene, the National Bank Open served the best of 4 last on a Bombay Sunday that saw all 4 men's singles matches going to a deciding set. In the Toronto Knights Cup, Taylor Fritz edged Jiri Leheke 7-6, 6-7, 7-6 in a dramatic match in which neither player lost a service game. Across nearly 3 hours, Fritz served all 9 break points against him, while Leheke served 5. Fritz escaped at 5-6 in the opening sets before Leheke dug out of the same hole at 0-1 in the third set. After fighting off a final break point to hold for 4-3 in the decider, the American closed out the victory by winning 5 of the last 6 points from 2-4 in the deciding set tiebreak. Improving to 4 wins and no losses in the 8-head series, while Fritz struggled at times to find a court with his aggressive game. Finishing with 48 errors, he found a way through to the quarterfinals behind a stellar serving day. Next up for Fritz now is a quarterfinals 4-in-a-row streak from 1974 to 1981, establishing Nigeria as the first side in history to win the championship 5 times consecutively. Nigeria, who have now won 7 African titles, wasted no time asserting themselves. The Tigers surged to a 12-0 scoring run early in the game, establishing a rhythm that Mali struggled to disrupt. However, it was the Malians who claimed the first quarter 26-21 points. Coach Rena Wakama's side recovered from 5 points deficit to clinch the second quarter 20-15. As both teams went into the halftime interval level at 41-41 apiece, the third quarter also went the way of the Tigers, who clinched it by another 20-15 scoreline. In the fourth quarter, Nigeria began to run down the clock as they tried to cling the advantage. The last 10 minutes of the quarter finished in favor of the Tigers with 17-8 points as Nigeria powered to yet another continental title. The win saw Nigeria extend their unbeaten streak at the FIBA Women's AfroBasket Tournament to 29 games, stretching back the last 10 years. Also, they have secured an automatic spot at the 2026 FIBA Women's World Cup. Well, finally now to the world of football, where Manchester United ended their summer tour of the US with a 2-2 draw against Everton at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. David Moyes' side twice came from behind to deny United 3 wins out of 3 in the Premier League Summer Series after victories over West Ham United in New Jersey and Bournemouth in Chicago. Bruno Fernandes with a penalty and Mason Mount got the goals for United. Everton's first equalizer came from Liman Diaye before a late and fortuitous Eden Heaven own goal, and a draw. Despite the results, Ruben Amorim can be encouraged by the team's effort in America. He has won more friendly against Fiorentina at Old Trafford to prepare his players before the Premier League season kicks off against Arsenal on August 17. But that's all we have for Sports Wrap-Up at this time. We take a very short break. When we return, we'll have an extensive conversation on all of these sports stories and much more.
Algeria final round group match in Group B. Here we are, underway. Morocco with a kickoff, defending the goal. Right towards the back post. Keeper keeps an eye on it, gets a punch away. And that's straight back in the end, won by 5-0. Now, Zraidi looking to turn her way through the fence. Shot comes in from Shot! Morocco! Let's go! It's the captain! Wide. Nigeria looking for the equaliser. Into the penalty area. Ball across. Al Hajj. Looking for Zraidi. She slipped a little bit. It's fallen for Masudi. Chance for number 2! Morocco have doubled the score. Are they on their way to the combinations title? Okoronkwo against Murici. Okoronkwo sends her the wrong way. Nigeria right back in it. Excellent penalty.
Well taken. Okoronkwo full of confidence. Fourth goal for her for the tournament. Cool, calm.
Still Okoronkwo with an opportunity for her second. Squares the ball. Nigeria are right back in it. Ijamilusi. The strength of Okoronkwo. And Nigeria with the corner. Good floater into that penalty area. Uzraoui. Saud. Good skills. Floated up. Running onto it. They've got a third. Nigeria are about to pull off a massive turnaround. Okoronkwo's free kick swept. Nigeria have won the Women's Cup of Nations for a 10th time.
Good evening, everyone. Your Excellency, good evening, sir. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished members of the government, Honorable Minister of Sport, esteemed officials and proud Nigerians. Today, I stand before you not just as a captain of Super Falcons, but as proud daughter of Nigeria, carrying the dreams, resilience, and spirit of our great nation. On behalf of my teammates, coaches, and technical staffs, I express our heartfelt gratitude for this warm reception and for the unwavering belief you have shown in us. To the Presidency, the Ministry of Sports, the Nigerian Football Federation, and every Nigerian who has cheered us on from home and abroad, thank you for being our strength, our inspiration, and our home. We could not have done this without every one of you. This win is for all of us. Your Excellency, our journey to this moment has been one of great determination and courage. We have faced the best teams in the world and had our own on the global stage. At the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, We stood toe-to-toe with giants, even defeating a formidable Australian in their home stadium. That was a moment that echoed the strength and tenacity of Nigerians across the globe. These achievements are not ours alone. They belong to every Nigerian who dares to believe that we can compete with the best and emerge victorious. We are deeply honored to bring home the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations title, our 10th WAFCON triumph, titled Mission X. This victory is not just a trophy. It's a testament to the unyielding spirit of Nigeria. It's a celebration of every young girl in our villages, towns, and cities who dares to dream. Every family that believes in the power of unity, and Nigerian who carries our green and white flag with pride. This 10th title is for you, Mr. President. It is for Nigerians, it is for Super Falcons, and it is for every young child who believes and dreams to be on this stage someday. But Your Excellency, we are not content to rest on our laurels. Our vision is bold. We want to become the best women's football team in the world. We dreamed of standing at the top of the global stage, not just as competitors, but as champions. But to achieve this, we humbly seek the continued and enhanced support of the Nigerian Football Federation, Sport Ministry, and the federal government. With your partnership, we can have world-class training facilities, and we'll be able to prepare in the best way possible and create a pathway for the next generation of Super Falcons to soar even higher. Together, we can show the world that Nigeria is not just a participant in global football, but a leader. As the Sport Commissioner rightly said, he said football is one of those things that unites, is a unifier of Nigerians. It brings the nation joy. It brings oneness across religion, class, and tribes in Nigeria. We want to keep making the nation happy and bringing more joy to Nigerians around the world. To Nigerians across the world, we call on you to join us in this journey. Your cheers, your prayers, and your belief fuel our fire. Let us change the narrative together. Let us inspire a mindset that sees no limit, that dares to dream big, and that unites in pursuit of excellence. We sincerely appreciate all that is currently being done, but we are asking for more because we know the boundless potential of this team and our nation. And together,
Hello, good morning. Welcome to another exciting time. We talk about the best of stories in the world of sports. It is Sports Central, and my name is Blyden Kim. Another week to have another outlook to the best of these talking points. Well, part of the conversation today will center around exciting features at the Montreal Open. Some shockers for some of the big names, the likes of Coco Gauff, are being beaten in this one. Well, the men's category has also had its ups and downs. We're talking about the likes of Iga Swiatek also struggling at the Montreal Open, fourth round, being beaten in the women's category. Well, Taylor Fritz had to age Laheka in this one to qualify to the next level of it. A part of the conversation would center around the world of basketball. The D-Tigers have made a name for themselves. 7 championship titles, 5 in a row. Massive, massive. It would be part of a conversation today in the world of football. Well, we've been having some friendly games for English Premier League side. Manchester United winning it after pulling a draw against Everton Football Club. Well, it brings possible postulation about what the season could be for Manchester United. I mean, well, the guys are here with me, ready for the talking point. With David, Fonitina, ready for action and the build-up that comes with it. David, a good morning. So good to see you today. Manchester United winning in the friendly competition in pre-season. It could be times for great things for Ruben Amorim, being the best coach of that tournament.
Well, I do not know how, of course, to talk about Manchester United at the moment. But I think the season is just a few weeks from now. We'll definitely see what happens for them. I think the biggest talking point for me is the D-Tigers of Nigeria and what they have been able to do, particularly over the course of the weekend, against all odds. I understand the very fact that they entered that competition as clear favourites because they've done it consecutively 4 times, and they were looking forward to do it the 5th time. But if we also look at the opponent they faced in the final, one would also say it was usually going to be a very difficult game. But they always find themselves, at the particular right spot to get those, right victories. And it just happened yesterday for the girls. So it shows the mentality and the quality they've had over time and what they have been able to be with the side as well.
Well, to David, going to the analysis at once, we'll find time to really talk about the D-Tigers and what they've really achieved. They've been on the back foot, especially in the first quarter, most of the tournament, but somewhat somehow are showing championship stuff to win it. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if you're following the debacle between Atlanta Football Club and African Footballer of the Year. Many are wondering where it's going to take to, because he met that release over the weekend, talking about the agreement he had with Atlanta, which they're not keeping at the moment, and things he's gone through and handed a transfer request. Well, good morning. So good to see you today.
Oh, exciting days, but for Demna Lukman and Atalanta, I feel it's just a business. He has to understand that the club has to make money from him. 50 million euros for me is not that big if Inter Milan wants to get the man. They've been to 2 Champions League final in 3 years. That's a lot of money. You want to check out the money that accrues to finalists of the Champions League. So Inter Milan definitely have the money. So if Demna Lukman wants to make the move to Inter Milan, they should get the money and get the man.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm quite different in perspective there. Despite the gentleman agreement they had, he's saying, come on, you guys have the money, pay for it. Well, let's begin a conversation from the world of tennis. Afterwards, we'll look at the biggest one. It would be athletics and basketball. From the world of tennis, we'll be talking about the Montreal Open. The likes of Towson having a revenge on Iga Swiatek, beating Iga Swiatek in the 4th round of it, are quite surprising to many. Also, now messing past Anastasia Sevastova 6-1. 6-love. Which would David, I'll start with you. Yeah. When you look at some of the games that's taking place in the US and then moving to Canada, many would have thought, okay, maybe it's games or some of the US players or some of the big names will really show class and dominance. Prior to this tournament, we had some key players also withdrawing from this competition, especially in the men's category. But some of the biggest women featured in Montreal, and they're devastatingly being beaten in this one. One of such being Iga Swiatek and Towson getting her revenge.
Well, I think it's quite, a trend that has actually, going on for a very long time now. Since the start of the year, up until now, we've actually seen this trend. And the Montreal Open is not, exception at the moment. Already we've had top-seeded players already knocked out, the likes of Kokogov and the rest of them. And just one of the biggest shockers would be Iga Swiatek, because many were also looking forward to see how Iga Swiatek can actually respond after winning the Wimbledon, a title. But thereafter, she didn't participate in any competition until the Montreal Open. Many will also say still the hangover of that victory, or maybe not, preparing quite enough ahead of the Montreal Open. But however you want to look at it, Towson was quite, clinical, and of course intentional of, trying to respond to what happened in the early stages of the year when both of them met. Yeah. And I think it was quite a case for Thompson to also, right her wrongs and also ensure a very, very positive, response to that particular defeat. Swiatek, for me, I think I wouldn't, of course, particularly take this, defeat as a very big setback for her, because we've seen it happen time and time again in top-level competitions this year. But I think it's also a clear statement as regards the very fact that, every particular person, irrespective of whether you're a world number 1 or world number 2, you are beatable if you also falter your lines. I think that's a clear statement for Iga Swiatek. At the point where many expected her to, make it back-to-back, titles for herself, she's actually faltered this time around. But thankfully, Towson on the other end was quite good and quality enough to show why she is particularly in the 4th round of the competition. So heads up Iga Swiatek. Next competition, she takes this seriously, and also, of course, understand the very fact that every single, athlete, every single tennis player is coming for, something quite handy, especially against top-seeded players, which we already saw this particular year.
Well, always going to be that conversation when you look at the top-seeded players and how they respond to some of these big games. Big question in the minds of many would be, let's say Iga Swiatek played at Wimbledon, won it, even when not many people didn't give her a chance. I don't went to a tour-level competition, not as big as a Grand Slam, and faltered her line. And while the likes of Naomi Osaka had to drop one game, racing past Sevastova 6-1, on 6 love. We're talking about Vitolina upsetting Anisimova in Montreal. And similarly, we'll be looking at 1 hour, 2 minutes performance for some of the lads. Mboko upsetting top seed Coco Gauff in Montreal. One funny thing, I have a bite regarding Coco Gauff lost to Mboko. We've seen Mboko beginning with tournament right from the previous tournament in DC, even building that conversation, seeming stronger and stronger after every game, and finally beating Coco Gauff. Shocker for you?
Well, I think it's been an underlying factor for Coco Gauff, because we've seen her since the start of the competition. She's dropped 37 serves, you know, the first 2 games, and now this was the 3rd game for her. She dropped just 6 in this game, but still you could see that factor that she's trying to change something and it's not working for her. So maybe I'll go back to what you used to know, because it's not just working. So at the end of it, I think for Victoria Mboko now, she's trying to you know, cement her place as one of the top ranked opponents. At the beginning of the year, she was ranked 336 in the world, but currently she's ranked at number 50 something. So, and if she wins her next match, she goes up to 28. So that's a very huge feat for her. And I think Victoria Mboko is coming for the crown. And the last, you know, youngest opponent, youngest tennis player to reach this stage of this competition was Coco Gauff, and Victoria Mboko had to beat her to be the youngest player now. So I think it's just maybe an exchange of parties now. Victoria Mboko is, you know, Coco Gauff had to run for her to walk. At the end of it.
It brings the next question. When you look at Mboko, what she's done now, especially when she's building up the record, what are expectations for her? I mean, we'll look at it and say just early days, tour level, but we've seen lots of young stars, the likes of Mira and Dreva. They all start this way, come into a tournament, not many people give them that run for it. They've been a top-seeded player, then they begin to build that momentum. Maybe not at the highest level yet, looking at the likes of Mira and Dreva, but she's up there with the very best in the world, and Mboko getting to follow suit from Fontina.
I think for Mboko, I don't like you know, giving these young players a ceiling, because when you look at it, you can expect too much from it. Look at Mira and Dreva. Won a Grand Slam this particular, won a tour level competition. Was it a tour level?
Tour level.
Yeah, this year. And then at the end, we've not heard from her since then. She's not won nothing. She's been trying reaching the semi-finals and all of that, but she's not won anything since then. So I think it's just...
still a youngster. It took Coco Gauff a long while, exactly. 2-3 years before she was able to win the big ones, so but always being around the scene and growing.
I think it's always going to be a slow and steady progress, you know, for all of these young stars. You know, most times when they break into the scene like this, pressures continues to mount, because if you did better in the first competition, that high your breakthrough, you did well in the second as well. The third, there will also be high expectations. I mean, not necessarily winning that title, but going as far as possible. Maybe the last 6, maybe the quarterfinals, maybe the semi-finals of a competition. Just like I've always said in time past, before Coco Gauff even won her very first Grand Slam, it is always going to be a slow and steady progress. You know, take that one step further, just momentarily take it. Don't be quite, of course, don't feel pressured. Don't feel those expectations, because expectation will always come. But if you, of course, focus and also ensure, having at the back of your mind that it's a slow and steady progress, you can actually build blocks of consistency. And I think that's what we'll see from the lady Tom Mboko at the moment. A breakthrough year is this year, but let's see how she can actually progress and make a name for herself.
How she can actually progress and make a name for herself. Big concern always going to be what the limitations are for young stars that could deter them from getting to the level they ought to go to. Well, in the coming days, we're going to talk about details of this and look at peculiarities regarding many young stars. Quickly to the mains game, the National Bank Open. We're looking at some of these indices. Taylor Fritz, American top player, aging Juri Lehecka without a single break in this one, in that conversation. Well, part of it would be the numbers that counts for him. And well, I saw the result. First game was 7-6 victory for Taylor Fritz. Second set, a 7-6 victory for Lehecka. Such a battle. And the last one, a 7-6 victory. What a game. No sets broken in this one for the Taylor.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was an edge to a battle now between Taylor Fritz and Juri Lehecka, because when you see the two opponents, I think they are the best of your game now. I expected more from Taylor Fritz, actually, because he's one of the highest ranked player in this particular competition. He has, I think he's ranked number 2.
Yeah, number 2 in this one. Yeah, Juri Lehecka ranked 19th.
So you can see the gap there, but at the end of it, Juri Lehecka brought the fights to him. But one thing I like about Taylor Fritz is that he just didn't succumb to it, because we've seen a lot of upsets. You know, when this lower ranked opponent bring the fight to them, they tend to slump. But Taylor Fritz said he's not going down without a fight, and I like what the man did. Probably now, looking forward to the next. I think he's a little bit fatigued, so I'm going to be paying close attention to his next game, because that particular game was the pattern. I think it's going to be a deciding factor as to whether Taylor Fritz is going to win his next game or not.
Well, I'm just trying to pick your mind what the attention would be all about. You say you're paying attention to the next game.
Yeah.
What's attention up to?
Well, because the man spent a lot of time before in this particular game now. You know, he was exhausted at the end of the game. Both players were exhausted. So I think in the next game now, his opponent might be coming in really fresh to face Taylor Fritz, and that's going to be a deciding factor.
All right, I thought it was all about investment in it anyway. But let's move on and talk about a key one. What we Ben Shelton scoring a 100 win with Let Surge to survive Coble in this one. Well, the numbers count differently for them. Ben Shelton won the first set at 6-4. Coble also having the second set 6-4. And then Ben Shelton winning the last one at 7-6. A close battle it was for both of them. Quickly now, we'll look at the likes of Andrei Rublev advancing after Forky retires in it. Quickly, let's talk about athletics. Toby Amosun wins 5th National League title in Lagos. Not surprising. It shouldn't be something that many would really wonder about it. Especially if the game is taking place in Nigeria. Come on, I expect Toby Amosun to win it.
It was a national trial tournament that took place in Lagos, basically. And if you look at all the top stars who arrived in the shores of a country, she was the first that arrived in Lagos, Yabatek. It
doesn't matter, even if she arrives last, no problem.
She's been training quite
She's
hard.
Toby Amosun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ahead of the African Athletics, tournament you expected, championship rather, we're expecting before the end of the year. It was one of those mandatory tournaments that was built for, the Athletics Federation of a country to conduct and also screen some of these athletes. So, not surprising for me, she's won. I mean, she's a top player, basically top athlete rather, basically. And one would expect that whenever you have your folks around you, you definitely shine. So we're looking forward to the major one that's to come.
All right, talking about having folks around us, soon we'll be having folks to join us, but have these guys with him for the team. Now, Formula One, we see the likes of Norris here of late Piastri attack to win in Hungary. What's really happening in Formula One?
Well, I think for Norris now, he's just trying to cut the gap between him and Piastri. Now, in the drivers' ranking, he's now 9 points behind his teammate, but they look like rivals on the pitch, or on the court rather, the speed lanes of the Formula One, because when you look at it...
Don't worry, you're forgiven. You can use anyone at the field of play, no problem. Go ahead.
I think for Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, there's one thing about them. McLaren is actually doing well this particular season, but I think there's still space for the other drivers from the other rival teams now to catch up to them, because they are competing against each other now. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri.
But that makes it even difficult for us to catch up with them now. Where they're competing among themselves and finishing first and second, then you're likely going to be third, fourth, and the rest of it.
Most times now, Lando Norris competing against Piastri. Sometimes you see them trying to fend off against each other. Like in this particular race, Norris had to, be a little bit defensive, trying to block the man from, getting past him.
Because they were having that unique frontier already.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But if it was another team trying to overtake, one would support the other. That's the beauty of teammates.
The only closest rival is Max Verstappen now, in the constructors table, and it doesn't even look likely. I mean, if Oscar Piastri still have time. I mean, if Oscar Piastri is not doing well, you have Lando Norris. If you look at the championship table, it is Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris.
But how does he flip the table now? Because if one is really dominant, you amass the numbers so much, it's difficult for others to follow.
The opponent is actually chasing one of them.
Yeah.
So you're not even breaking into the #1 spot until you pass the second place teammate. So it becomes even more difficult at the moment. I just like the competition between both, drivers.
You think they go the distance?
Absolutely. I mean, it's possible. We saw it last year, basically.
Well, at some point, I look into the hell.
Max Verstappen wasn't
Then I asked him for, do you think they go to the distance of Max Verstappen and Red Bull not finding it back in contest in this one?
I think one of them would actually go the distance, but not going to be two of them. Someone is going to catch up to them at a point, because you cannot keep competing with your teammates. I think there's something going to set in at some point. We're going to see maybe a Lando Norris, losing some steam, or maybe.
But the other argument is, if you have two teammates, even the days of Mercedes, they had Hamilton and the teammate being frontliners doing so well. Guess what? I think it wasn't even Russell at the time. First it was another before Russell. But guess what happens? It's so difficult for the opponent to find a way in, because the other is going to block you. He's already number 2. Absolutely. He's going to block you from getting to number 1. Absolutely. So good start from the last. We'll get to see what happens even further. But now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, it will be a conversation looking at AfroBasket. The D-Tigers are showing class and dominance. Well, a 5th title in a row at the AfroBasket Championship, but a 7th title beating Mali. Would be a conversation we'll be looking forward to when we return from the break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's still Sports Central. My name is Bladder. Devin Funington is still with me for company going nowhere. And now we're ready for the talking point around the world of basketball. It's getting even further exciting for me. One of those conversations has been that whenever there's a new trophy given by any organization of a sports body, you expect Nigeria, especially if the women's team are in there, to dominate and have a victory. Remember, just this year, not far long, is it up to 1 month? We're talking about the Super Falcons of Nigeria making a 10 title for them. Mission X accomplished. And now a new title, the basketball community also came out and said, well, we'll bring in a new trophy. And the girl said, no, we're taking it home. And I hear some Ghanaians saying, come on, the next trophy that's going to happen, whatsoever tournament we're taking, don't worry, take your time. Except the women's team of Nigeria not part of it. But guys, we saw the D Tigers of Nigeria outclass Mali at the finals. Semi-finals was Senegal. We began that conversation, especially looking at our performance against Mozambique. But something stood out. The bulk of these matches, they always lose in the first quarter. Then begin to build that conversation. It was a similar story. At halfway mark, there were 41-41 in this one against Mali, but went all the way to win it 78-64, extending AfroBasket reign. For the coach of a side, dominant performance. It seemed to be the first at everything. First woman to do back-to-back, first woman to win it, and absolutely fantastic. Ami Okonkwo winning the best player MVP at this tournament back-to-back. Yeah. What can you say about this?
Well, I just lack words to, of course, classify the D Tigers at the moment, but I must say deserving champions, and they've actually shown why they have been here time and time again. Coach Rena Wakama, one of the youngest coaches in the tournament as well, showing why she was actually appointed a D Tigers, coach from the last time, the D Tigers won this tournament up until now as well. I mean, you look at the level of class and quality shown by the D Tigers of Nigeria. One would also expect that even the next tournament, they can actually do this as well. I mean, I followed the game the first few quarters. There were several free throws, especially for the Malian, women's team, and even the D Tigers as well. Even at the point where the D Tigers were actually trailing the Malians, they should show some level of quality. I mean, a spirited side who felt intentionally before the end of that particular game, they will still win it. Yeah. There was absolutely no problem, calm in that particular pitch. A few changes made by Coach Rena Rakama even when the D Tigers were actually trailing. So it certainly shows you the confidence by this particular team. And I must say, they are deserving champions at the moment. First, it was against Senegal. I think the two best, teams outside Nigeria in that tournament were Senegal and Mali. I mean, those were the teams who've actually faced the last two.
South Sudan also being part of it.
South Sudan also part of it
fantastic.
Well.
They took bronze at the tournament.
So it certainly shows you that the D Tigers of Nigeria are far away off the other teams who are competing for this same particular title. So congratulations aside, deserving champions, I must say. Deserving
champions, which what David says. Well, before we get to talk about all the context that comes with him, Funington, I guess, to make a point in it. Well, I'll give you the statistics. The women's all-star team has been out for the 2025 AfroBasketball women's competition, and Ami Okonkwo of Nigeria being part of it. We're talking about Sida Dilad of Senegal and Delicia Washington of South Sudan and Jane Asinde of Uganda, Sika Kone of Mali also being part of this. Unfortunately, one team everyone is talking about will be South Sudan at the 2025 Women's Afro-Basketball. The first time they're appearing at the Afro-Basketball Women's Competition. They met the semis on the first attempt and qualified for the World Cup on the first try. Bronze on the first try, and the way South Sudan were moving, this is clearly just the beginning of something big in South Sudan. First time as getting to a bronze medal, qualifying for the World Cup, absolutely fantastic.
I would say hopefully. I would add hopefully to all of that because I've seen Angola before. Angola has been a nation that's defeated Nigeria at the finals of the AfroBasket.
Yeah, they've won a lot of AfroBasket tournaments.
They lost all their matches in the AfroBasket. So it shows you that in Africa there's this thing about not doing more. When you've reached the level, you should be trying to do more. So that's the thing. I wanted to chip in with the Super Falcons of Nigeria. The early 2000s, we used to see the Super Falcons dominating that particular tournament. But at some point, we had nations catching up to them. I think that's going to be the same thing here. We don't have a working basketball league in Nigeria. How do the D Tigers keep to, try to keep dominating Africa when you don't have a working basketball league, right?
The foreign pros coming in, especially players that are raised from outside Nigeria, coming in to really help out.
And we're talking about. That's what happened in the football
scene. It goes back to the conversation. It goes back to the conversation of Angola. At some point, Angola will quite decent having these foreign players coming, but the next generation is always going to be that concern. Do you just depend on people race outside. Well, citizens race outside to be the ones handling their affairs. And by the way, before you get to talk about football stories, I hear at the next AFCON, the trophy would be a new trophy. But can the Super Eagles of Nigeria do what the girls are doing? Well. Absolutely. We're going to see what happens. A CHAN taking place. CHAN tournament has started. But we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, we'll get to talk about football stories all around the world. Also looking at a CHAN conversation. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back here at Sports Central. My name is Vladimir. We're having fun here with me for company. Ready for this talking point in the world of football. And football, here we go. Well, let's begin from the home scene, looking at the MPFL season that we're looking forward to, the 2025-2026 season. We're here. Now, they've announced venues for 2024-2025 under-19 league title, league competition, youth league competition. What we're looking forward to. Every now and then we got to see it happen in the Nigerian Premier Football. Either it's under 15 or under 19, but builds up to what we're expecting. Similarly, the MPFL, looking forward to next season. We hear the Kano Pillars have unveiled 9 players to be parts of 8. Well, quickly, let's move and talk about CHAN 2024 tournaments. Sadly, many 2024 tournaments taking place in 2025. We hear the first standout of this one, the opener of it was Tanzania, also having a victory at the CHAN competition. Morocco also were off to a flying start with commanding win over Angola at the CHAN. Well, Tuba David, you've been following the CHAN. What's taking place? Taking place in East Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda hosting it. We've seen the host doing quite some magic in this one, and Morocco also joining the host, beating Angola.
Well, I think it's quite, an interesting, CHAN tournament. First of all, Kenya also beating their opponent in Kenya, to be very precise, and other victories as well, also culminating Morocco getting victory. I think it will be one of the most competitive CHAN. First of all, it will also be about the very fact that we've actually seen the remodeling of the trophy, just in the heat of when we're talking about something or changes on the continent of Africa. An improved prize money, I think over a 75% increase as well.
Yeah, and winners take about $3.5 million.
Absolutely. And teams who initially opted out of not participating, they actually came back after they heard that particular news. So,
what are you saying? We can win this money. Come on.
It shows you the level of competitiveness we'll be having at the tournament. Well, sadly, Nigeria will have to wait till tomorrow when Nigeria will play. But I think it's quite entertaining at the moment. We'll see end-to-end stuff, and we'll also see several stars being on earth still in this particular tournament.
Well, just to add to that, I think the CAF president should continue. He wants to go for 20 more years. The man is doing quite well for African football, African sports, but not just football now, because when I look at it, he's also tried to put his hand in some other places, according to what I'm hearing.
Okay, unfortunately, are already campaigning for.
Could also be an influence, particularly seeing what football is doing on the continent. Other sports are following suit.
Well, many also say when money splash on anything, guess what? You're going to see improvement in it. He's brought lots of investment. Being a billionaire himself, owner of Mamelodi Sundowns, brought lots of investment into it. Well, looking at the result from CHAN, it was Tanzania beating Burkina Faso 2-0 in this one, and Kenya in that opener also beating that opening in this one. And we're talking about Morocco 2, Angola 0. And then Madagascar played against our opponent, this one 0-0. And Nigeria will be taking on Guinea today. It will be something to look forward to. Just like Uganda take on Algeria tomorrow, or today rather, around 6 p.m. Nigeria takes on Guinea today. Tomorrow we'll talk about it because the teams line up to perform at the CHAN competition. Well, quickly, let's move further now to the world of transfer. It would involve a Nigerian superstar, Wilfred Ndidi. He's been in and around the scene for a while now. Midfielder at Leicester City. We hear Leicester City have a grade. For him to join Besiktas of Turkey, many Nigerians now moving to Besiktas, to Turkey rather. Remember, Victor Osimhen recently went to Turkey. Well, I hear Besiktas triggered the 29-year-old release clause at about $9 million. pounds is that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, being the coach of Besiktas Fontina, was it with a gleam of a smile in there. Didi somehow moving and signing a 3-year contract with a 1-year extension. Defensive midfielder has been at Leicester since 2017. What was it with a smile?
How the mighty has fallen. I remember, you know, about that was 5 years ago. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was at Manchester United. Wanted this man from Leicester City, and Brendan Rodgers said the man was worth 100 million euros. Barcelona met, you know, inquiries about Wilfred Ndidi at that point. That was when Sergio Busquets was gradually winding out with Barcelona, and now he's moving to Besiktas for 9 million euros. I think Nigerian players, African players should always know that you know, the football scene does not really favor them. When you are at your prime, take those big moves, because from there you cannot really fall too much. From Barcelona, where do you fall to? Probably another, you know, bigger team. But now at Leicester City, you're going to Besiktas.
Well,
not really the best for
it brings a conversation, because we're saying Nigerians also trying to make the move now, and European clubs seem to be angry about it. Ademola Lookman at the moment, everyone, it seems like everything in Atlanta is against Ademola Lookman. Victor Osimhen wanted also to move to a big club. Everything at Napoli was against him. Well, you've mentioned the likes of Sergio Busquets. Sometimes life, you don't stay up forever. He's 29 years of age. The likes of Busquets were at Barcelona. They've left 2 different places. And the same story for Wilfred Ndidi. Not so bad, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer seemed to always be in love with the man. Yeah. And the Besiktas still going for that man. Well, let's talk about the one that's caused lots of controversy. Atlanta Football Club and Ademola Lookman. Well, Ademola Lookman hits out at Atlanta amid prolonged exit. Well, we heard, just as Von said during the beginning of the show, said about 50 million euros. They're looking for Atlanta, saying Inter Milan should pay. Inter have brought about 43 million euros thereabout. But Ademola Lookman is saying before now they had an agreement that he could even go for 35 million pounds. And still remember, they still have to pay some things to RB Leipzig in the course of it, because RB Leipzig has a release, a sell-on clause for him. But the man sent in a transfer request and said, look, I need to go. I think my time is up at the club. And yes, I've committed everything. There were times, lots of things happened to me as a human being and as a sporter in Atlanta, behind the scene, which I didn't come out to talk about it. But now, I think we had a gentleman agreement, a fair time. The price that I'm being priced is fair. 43 million pounds, thereabout, 43.5 million euros, thereabout. And Ademola Lookman thinks it's fair because the initial agreement was within 35 million euros, thereabout.
Well, I think, first of all, I would not totally agree with all of his words. Well, I could also understand the fact that there were times there were problems behind the scene. Recall that penalty, you know, issue with Giampiero Gasperini that also, you know, sparked several, you know, question marks as regards whether or not he would stay past that particular season. I understand the unfair treatment and the unjust treatment, if you want to put it that way. But I think what I do not really, you know, totally agree with him would be the valuation of the player. I mean, we're talking about current CAF best player.
Yeah.
If he was a European player, he would be worth more than 50 million euros.
And probably they had a gentleman agreement
before
he became a big superstar.
That's the same thing with Victor Gyökeres. A top players, Ademola Lookman, if he was an American player or even a European player, he won't go for anything less than 60 million euros. So just stay put. I mean, Inter Milan just few numbers away from the valuation. Meet the target and get the man. I do not see what Atalanta are doing wrong at the moment. He's worth that 50 million euros.
What if Inter Milan withdraws?
I mean, another team would come. They would definitely come.
Why do you say they're not going to withdraw you out of Jesus Christ? Come on. It's negotiation. They can say, well, I'm done with it. All we can offer is maybe 45 million.
When complications are going to come in now, it's because of his statements. Because now Inter Milan are going to look at the man like he's being desperate to join them.
No, I understand.
He's trying to push the move.
I understand that.
I feel when he try to put it on the player, because no matter how you want to look at it, if you have a gentleman agreement with somebody,
was he written on paper?
And now you never can know what.
No,
just like we had.
Yeah, no reason.
No, hold on. Just as we had with Victor Gyökeres.
Yes.
But at the end of it, he's pulled the string. He's left. He still not got.
Sporting Lisbon still got what they needed. That's the question. They still got what they did at the end of the day. So that he should join.
Sporting were even talking about 100 coming at a time.
No, it wasn't. It was just a few numbers outside 60. The conversation was about 60 million euros, but Arsenal eventually got him over 75 at the end of it. Yeah. So I think for Ademola Lookman, he should just keep calm. I know fully well Inter Milan will go back to the table. I mean, they're just 7 million euros away from getting that man.
I just smile when they say, you know fully well Inter Milan
will go back. They'll definitely. I mean,
don't be too fully knowing.
Let's be sincere. At the points, Liverpool were interested in Ademola Lookman.
Atletico Madrid as well.
If he was the first choice winger, they would have gotten him for long. 50 million is way small in the quality of Ademola Lookman.
Well, absolutely. Let's see what happens in the transfer market regarding Ademola Lookman even moving forward. Well, quickly we go to the summer series that's taking place in the United States of America. Well, Premier League clubs showing class and dominance. When you watch a friendly, it seems like you're watching a Premier League match. Top quality friendlies, many would say at pre-season, but this case it was Manchester United winning the summer series after pulling a draw against Everton. And Tottenham Hotspur also pulled a draw against Newcastle United, but it was the last game for Son Heung-min beating Farewell before joining LAFC, Los Angeles FC. Well, James Madison got injured in the process. But guys, let's start with Manchester United, Fonitina in particular. You've really spoken about this particular summer series. At the end of it, so good, Manchester United capped it by winning it.
Well, I'm happy you finally coming to terms with knowing that this
You can't be so sure I'm coming to terms with it.
You just said it yourself. You know, when I said it the very first day, you told me it was just a friendly game.
No, I said it was a friendly, and it remains a friendly.
I watched those first two games, and I was impressed because these teams were playing as if it was a Premier League match. There's no, taking it as if it's friendly. I've watched most friendly games this particular summer.
It's just that you think.
Not at the quality level.
It's just that you think I've come into terms with it. Maybe not.
I'm happy.
Go ahead.
His players finally coming to terms with the level of football he wants to play. He came out to say, from next season, if you misbehave in training, you'd be shown on the pitch, or rather on the big TV there on the screen at Old Trafford before the game starts. So he's ready to embarrass players. He's ready to throw players under the bus. So I'm ready to see what happens next season.
I just have one problem with Manchester United at the moment because I watched the game. They still do not have a quality holding midfielder. Ugarte is a shadow of himself. Casemiro is past his prime at the moment. They're chasing a striker, but they eventually, unfortunately,
why do they need another holding midfielder when they have the likes of Bruno Fernandes being part of that
Bruno
mix?
Fernandes, we've seen him being, he's not holding midfielder. He's been deployed number 10 role recently. So I think they need a defensive midfielder. Casemiro should be shipped out. I still do not understand why he's still in the team up until now.
Well, last season, towards the end of it, he seemed to be a more important player for Manchester United, even better than the likes of Ugarte anyway. But as we set to close, Chelsea have signed Ajax defender Hato for £35 million, just like Bayern midfielder Paul Inha joined Spurs on loan. And Son poised to join LAFC, as I said, for potential record fee. We'll get to talk about details of it tomorrow. And Manchester United striker Rasmus Højlund is available for £30 million. Atletico Madrid signed David Hanko after El Nassr move collapses, and Endrick wants Real Madrid stay amid loan rumors. Well, Xavi has been told he won't get any further signing by Real Madrid. The player's ready to stay. Even Rodrigo ready to stay. But funny thing, you've been staying with us for a while. Thank you for being a part of the show. We draw the curtains here. To David, thank you too. We draw the curtains here. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow is another day.